Okay, so moving on, Peter, one of the latest topics that's come up in the last couple of days relates to the traps at Toaster, where there's been a fault that has been acknowledged, I think, for the last couple of weeks, that the track are now taking issue with, whereby there is a situation where dogs can put their front legs through the starting traps when they're in the traps, which could potentially lead to an absolute disaster with dogs breaking legs. I spoke to Toaster. Toaster contacted me today to say that they're going to rectify that immediately, and there won't be any other race meetings without those traps rectified. But I think you have some thoughts on about the benefits of social media on this particular thing.
Yeah, I do believe on social media certain things can be highlighted, and I think it's a good thing, when tracks do take it on board. But what we've not got to have is some of these witch hunts sometimes, and I don't like the fact on this social media where people can do things without putting their own name to it, and then I see then also attached to it start making personal insults, and I don't like that. I think if you've got an issue like with these traps, highlighted, Toast have looked at it and said, you know what, you're right. It probably didn't even need social media to highlight it. They've seen it themselves. We need to get this sorted. I spoke to Nathan Corden today, and he said, as soon as he's seen it, he said, we need to sort this out. That's unacceptable. And they were straight on it. If people have got issues and they take to social media, do it in a professional, sensible manner. If you've got personal issues with the management of tracks, or you've had personal issues in the past, put them to one side. If you start making personal attacks, you'll weaken your view on areas where you might have a good point, like these traps. It was a good point, they picked it up, it's being sorted. Leave it at that. Cut the personal attacks out. If you've got problems with people, speak to them direct. Don't go under a pseudonym name, false name, and start making a personal attack. Give them a ring, sort it out. I've always said that to people with me. Don't go under false names. Give us a call. If we can sort it out, we can't. Most people disagree. I can handle disagreeing with people. Cut the personal attacks out and let's all get this industry working right.
Yeah, I would just add one thing to that, and I mean, I get absolutely gutted with the level of viciousness, and I don't know why some of these people, what what's going on in their world, that they can have a point to make, and possibly a very good point, and the level of the abuse and the tirade of abuse and filth that they feel that they need to come out with. And of course, one of the problems is I would love to challenge the tracks, because the tracks, in my experience, often have some very good answers to some of these things. A lot of these myths and legends that exist in the industry are not based on fact. That they start off of some mad dogman's view. It gets out there. Nobody's challenged it. When I speak to the tracks and they tell me it isn't actually like that, there's a lot more to this story, and I say, well, I will always give you a right to reply. And they go, no, 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 we can't, because once they start to respond, again, some of the filth and abuse that's spilled at these people, particularly on the forums, is absolutely. I don't have a problem with people having a different view, but there is no need to it to be so vicious.
I look at it years ago when my dad used to run the Long Eaton Stadium, and he'd give somebody a red light, and there'd be a big fallout, and they've obviously worked for weeks on end to try and win a few quid out the dog. They've gone and found too much time. In them days, you got red light and you got your money back. So you spent all that time working away for absolutely nothing. Well, I can imagine social media in them days would have tore my dad apart, or tore the track apart, and they wouldn't have even mentioned, oh, I've got a bit of a gripe because I've lost my money, or I've done my money and actually I'm putting this person abuse. They'd be saying dogs are broken hocks, dogs have done this, or they'd be talking absolute nonsense and might be causing big business problems to a track what actually lots of people are enjoying and never had an issue with, just because they've lost their money or they're a bit resentful because something's gone wrong. And I think that's what happens in today's world now. Social media can be so good, but it can be so wrong. And I just think some of these people must have seriously sad lives.